Is that a backup of electricity?
It's not like how to how to how to do it. How to give okay. I see. I see.
Good morning, delegates. I'm Rochelle D'Souza from Team SAPMUN. Welcome to SAPMUN 2022 official ROP session conducted by our Secretary General Letitia Di Costa. Over to Letitia.
Start.
She has to.
Good morning, Leah. So, what is the United Nations? Do you mind briefing us about that?
Okay. Do I continue? Okay, so first of all, good morning everyone. So the United Nations, so after the World War II, there was a lot of mess and all of that, and there was no peace and security that countries felt. And after that, we had the League of Nations going on, and which got transformed into the United Nations in 1945. So the United Nations is an organization which helps in negotiation, discussion, lively debates among countries for the betterment of international, to maintain that kind of international peace and security. And it's very important that we all require this. Peace is not just at a personal level, also there's a lot of confusion and conflict in this whole world. So the United Nations tries its best to keep that.
Okay, so then how is a model United Nations related to the United Nations?
Okay, so what really is the model United Nations, y'all are asking? So MUN is the model United Nations. It's a simulation of the United Nations, how debates, how discussions go on in the UN, the same way we do it in an MUN. So here every student or every participant is given a country, and for them they can so they represent their country, they are ambassadors of their country. So then they get to represent their country and give the stance upon their country. So it's very important that participants learn about the topic given to them, they understand the intensity of the agenda, and they get to talk about it. They find solutions for real world problems, and each delegate represents a country in the UN committee, and we are always talking about an important global issue. That's what really an MUN is.
Okay, so then how am I supposed to prepare for a UN? Where do I research? What do I search for when I want to know about specific topics or specific committees?
Okay, so how does one research? I know there are a lot of first timers for SAPMUN 2022. So when you are planning on researching, first understand your country, learn the biodata of your country, understand how your country works, what your country thinks. So if, for example, I'm India, who is in power, what does my country think, what are my country's beliefs to the agenda, and you research about your country mainly. Also, you read a lot. You read multiple articles, you read multiple thought processes of what actually is going on. And then, so what I'd suggest is you research, you read well about your country. But also you will read about other countries, because you need to know who is against you, and you need to also, when you're in a debate, you have to find out who is against you and who could possibly be against your thought system, your belief system. And at the end of the day, you have to mark yourself, right? You have to pave the way to telling the whole of the committee that you are right, your thought system is the best out of all. That's how politics works. It's not about who's the most ethical and who's not. It is, you have to persuade the chairperson to say that your thought system is right, and you have to learn why your country thinks your thought system is right. And also, a small point I would like to suggest is, don't keep your personal opinions in all of this, because sometimes you may get countries which have beliefs that don't quite agree with yours, and you can't go against that. You are representing your country. And tomorrow, if you get Pakistan as one of your countries, you may not like their belief system, but you have to represent the country, and that's how it is. And then prepare well. Don't get too nervous, because it's a learning experience for all of us. Even I'm a chairperson, and I have so much to learn from y'all, and y'all may have some things to learn from me. So don't be nervous about this whole research. Don't break your head. It's not your board exam. But what I'd say is research, read, and prepare well.
Okay, so now let's say that we are in the committee session. I'm pretty sure it starts with a roll call. So what is a roll call?
Okay, so a roll call is, so in the UN committees, what happens is, like how we have attendance in classrooms, the same way we have roll calls in committee sessions. So we can't, so if at all we have 80 countries, or we take 1/3, of the whole committee should be present for the discussion to go forward. If 1/3 of the country isn't, 1/3 of all countries are not present in total, we don't go forward. The same way with your attendance. So if we don't have certain amount of countries, we won't take class. The same way, if there are no certain amount of delegates, like for in terms of attendance, we don't start the session.
Okay, so now once we are in the committee, we have to speak. What is the speakers list?
Okay, so this is something all delegates would have to prepare for, the speakers list. Now, the speakers list is, what I would say is, you're giving your stance of your country on the agenda. Now, if at all the agenda for UNJ is the increased armament and militarization in the Middle East, so what your country thinks about it should be in your speakers list. A speakers list is given to everyone to talk. Every country gets a chance to talk, and the time limit is normally 90 seconds, but then it also depends on the chair, but we normally follow 90 seconds. So you would have to talk for 90 seconds, introducing your country and why your country thinks the way it thinks based on the agenda. Am I clear?
Okay, so what do we speak in the speakers list, and how long does it take?
Okay, the speakers list goes on for 90 seconds. Generally 90 seconds, y'all will all be talking for 90 seconds, and y'all can start with you're the delegate of which country, and what does your country think about the agenda given to y'all. Y'all will, in case of Lok Sabha, what y'all think of the agenda given to y'all again. So what y'all will have to talk about what your country thinks, what your country is doing, and what your country is up against with the current agenda. Your stance, basically your thought on the agenda, whether y'all are for the agenda, whether y'all are against the agenda, whether y'all are not quite involved in the agenda or anything of that sort, and how closely related you are with the topic given to y'all.
Okay. So, what are yields?
Yields. So every speech or every time you talk, every delegate in debate, you will have a time limit we follow. So this time limit, I would say, for example, speakers list, you're talking for 90 seconds, right? But if at all you finish early, if at all you finish, say by 70 seconds, you still have that 20 seconds more. 20 seconds more. And then what happens is you get to yield this time. You can either yield this time to another delegate, you can either yield this time to the chair, or either yield this time for comments. So how that works is, when you have 20 more seconds, if you give your time to another delegate, the other delegate gets to speak for 20 more seconds, or the amount of time you have given to them. If you yield your time to the chairperson for questions, the chairperson can ask you a question based on whatever you've spoken, and then you have to answer it. If you yield your time for comments, what happens is any country can comment based on, okay, this is what I have thought about it, or this is what the country thinks about what you've said. It's just a comment. So that's how you yield your time. That's what yields are.
Okay. So, for us to start a committee session, we need a motion on the floor, don't we? So, for that, how do we set the motion on the floor?
Okay, so I like it. You don't say how do we set the motion on the floor, we raise a motion. So when we raise a motion, so a motion basically in the easiest terms is an action. So in committee what happens is everyone's there, and for someone to start talking, we have to raise a motion. There should be action, right? So you're asking permission to raise this action. So that's how you so that's the whole process of what a motion is. Now how do you raise a motion? So each of your participants will be given a placard. So you all will hold the placard, and the chairperson will ask, are there any motions on the floor? So then any country, any delegate can raise their placard and say they want, but the chairperson has to decide which 2-3 people or which 2-3 delegates can raise their motion. So for example, I'm the chairperson and I see 3 placards, I will tell the delegate of India goes first, the delegate of Pakistan goes second, and the delegate of Iran goes third. So then what happens is India will say, there's certain verbatim followed, that is there's these proper lines. So the delegate of India would like to raise a motion to set the agenda, or a delegate would like to start committee sessions, or there are many motions. You can ask for setting up the agenda, you can ask for having the speakers list, that's the GSL is nothing but general speakers list, and that's the generic thing. Everyone has to speak, every delegate has to speak, every country has to speak. So you have different motions you can raise. So motions in the easiest terms is action, and whatever action you want to raise, you raise your placard and you follow this thing where you ask the chair, can we do this or can we do that? But there's certain verbatim followed, like I said, and the verbatim normally goes like, the delegate of India would like to raise a motion to this or whatever motion you all are raising. But also in MUNs we normally follow a time limit. So when you all are asking to raise a motion for a general speakers list, or when you all are asking for, if you all want to speak about something else, normally mention the time you would want to speak. If at all, I'll get to what a moderated caucus is, but if at all you all want to speak, a moderated caucus is nothing but a speech. So if at all you want to raise a moderated caucus, you all will say the delegate of India wants to take the committee into raising a motion of into a moderated caucus of so and so topic for 90 seconds, 10 delegates. So 10 delegates will get to talk for 90 seconds, and based on the topic you all go on. But also motions go through voting. Now if at all 3 people have 3 different motions to raise, I will take all 3 into consideration and I will put them into voting. So whoever gets the majority vote, that motion is passed.
Okay, so you're talking about moderated caucus and all that. What is a moderated caucus and how does it work?
Okay, so a moderated caucus is nothing but debate. So moderated caucus is formal debate wherein you get a chance to speak. So the agenda is simple, the agendas are given to you all, but there are multiple topics you could speak about related to the agenda, or what you all think is important, or what you all think has come up suddenly with other countries, or what you all want to share with the committee at any point in time. So if at all you all have these kind of topics you all want to talk about, then you all want to speak. This form of debate is called moderated caucus. It's just a fancy word, but there's nothing to be scared about. You'll just have to have a simple talk on any topic. Now, but it should be related to the agenda. Now, for example, if you're talking about the Ukraine crisis, if at all you'll want to talk about the politics in Russia or the foreign relations between Ukraine and all of that, you can do so. All you will have to do is raise a topic, find out which other country will want to talk on the same topic, raise a motion, and even 5 delegates can talk for a minute, and you'll have to give a time limit. Normally it goes on for 90 seconds or 60 seconds, but y'all can, at whatever time y'all would want to, y'all can go ahead with that. And a moderated caucus again is just simple debate. It's like pick and speak, where you just have to talk. It's very simple. Y'all don't have to be all scared about it.
Okay. So if there is something formal, shouldn't there be something informal too? And I'm pretty sure that is an unmoderated caucus.
Correct.
So what is an unmoderated caucus?
Okay, like you said, it is informal. Unmoderated caucuses are it's a form of informal debate. But here what we do is, it's like a recess break in committee session. There may be times y'all will want to connect with other countries, learn their stance and why they think so, and y'all will have to build these kind of foreign relations. And also y'all know at the end of the day y'all have to come to a conclusion, and for this conclusion to be met, all the countries would have to agree. Not all, there will be 2-3 which may not, but they are in a separate group. So you all have to go to your like-minded people, talk, and you all may even want a recess break to write, to research. So anyone can raise a motion on an unmoderated caucus for 10 minutes. So you all will get a 10-minute break of sorts, but it's not a break to enjoy or anything. Y'all can research, y'all can use it to meet with other countries, build your foreign relations, and also connect with and network with other countries.
Right. So what are points?
Okay, so points are like, wait, how do I put this through? Okay, so how points are something you can not raise, but you can ask the chairperson for. Now there are multiple points. You have point of information. Now a point of information is where the delegate yields their time and they ask, I have a point of information, and this takes place wherein the speaker will be allotted, they'll be reminded, the information is they want to know why. So at any point in time they don't understand what's going on in committee, or they feel the chair is going overboard, or they don't understand the chair, they can say, I have a point of information and what is going on. That's in the simple terms, that's what point of information is. Then you have point of inquiry. If again you don't know what's going on in a committee and you think the chair is not at the same wavelength you are, or you want to make a few changes and you think we are headed the wrong way, you can always raise a point to inquiry. And then the most important one is the point of personal privilege. So we understand that everyone needs their time and they may suddenly want to go off committee and all that. So at this point in time, what you do is you raise your placard and you say a point of personal privilege. So here we will just let you go. You can leave committee and come back. If at all you want to visit the washroom, if at all you want to just go out and you have a phone call to make, anything of that sort, point of personal privilege is used. And then you have something called point of order. If at all you feel the committee is going haywire and is going not according to how it should go, and you want to bring it back to order, and you think the chair is ignoring all of this, you can raise your placard and say point to order, and the chairperson has to agree with your request.
Okay, so I've heard a lot of these working papers and position papers. What is that?
Okay, so now, like I said, the whole purpose of this MUN, this whole purpose of this committee session has to have a conclusion. So we have a lot of discussions going on. So whenever we are going through these discussions, what happens is y'all will find solutions. Your end goal is to find solutions to the problem. So what happens is y'all will have to write down these solutions on your working papers and what your country thinks and what your country can do to change it, what are your plans and what are your foreign relations which can help build up and what can be changed. Like it's just writing down on a piece of paper, saying where we are headed, what we can do to solve the problem and all of that. That's basically a working paper and a position paper. It just differs according to chair and we normally call it working paper, but if at all some chair says position paper, it's almost quite the same thing. And position paper also again is your position, like how your country's position is based on the agenda, what you all think of the problem and what are your solutions to it. Working paper is what are your solutions to it and how you all think you all can help change. So if at all whenever you all find different problems, or if at all in any committee session at any point of time in debate you all are learning things and all of that, you all can just write down in a working paper and give it to them. And you all must write working papers, it is very important.
Okay, so shouldn't there be a conclusion for all the working papers? And if I'm not wrong, that's called a resolution. So what is a resolution paper exactly?
Okay, so like I've kept saying, at the end of the day, the whole point of an MUN is to get your whole point of your committee session is to reach conclusion, and this conclusion is finding solutions to the world problem given to y'all. And when y'all have to find this when y'all are reaching this conclusion state, what happens is you all have to find solutions. So resolution is nothing but the solution. These resolution papers, there'll be a whole session. Your last session is normally the resolution paper session. It's dedicated to that because it's a long process wherein every chairperson will tell you how to write a resolution paper, because you just can't write it. There's a whole verbatim to be followed, like I said. There's certain language to be used and all of that, but that will be explained to you all when the time comes. You all don't have to break your head on it. But finding solutions, so you network. I told you, you network with a lot of countries who have the same mindset. And when you all have the same mindset, you all will have the same solutions. And what works best for the most of countries, you all have the same solution. So what you all do is, you all come together, you all write resolution papers. You all write all your solutions down. And then you have to present this. You all present this in front of the whole committee. So the committee is thinking about your solution. The committee gets a chance to listen to you all. So once it's also the sort of persuasion, and if countries will agree with how you think. So when you're presenting your paper, it is very important. So once you do that, we take voting session goes on. So once the voting goes on, whichever is the majority again, the resolution paper gets passed. So basically what I'm trying to say is, I don't want to confuse you all way too much, but resolution is nothing but solutions to the problems given to you all, and a resolution paper is nothing but writing the solutions of the problems given to you all, but you all have like certain verbatim of sorts, like you'll have to write signatories, which other countries agree with you, which countries are presenting the paper, and all of that. But all of that will be explained to you on the day of the session. You all don't have to break your head on it.
Okay, so then how does it work for Lok Sabha? And also what are amendments?
Okay, amendments are, so there will be certain resolution papers which could be passed, but then you would want to change something. Like, it's basically how an amendment of a law is, but there's certain procedure to it. But if at all you want to make an amendment after you present it, if someone gives you a better solution, or if you think of a better solution and you want to change it across, what happens is, you put forward an amendment, and there's a whole process to it. Again, you don't have to break your heads on it. It will be explained to you according to the chairperson. And for Lok Sabha, it's a bill, right? The same way, it's like a resolution paper itself. Y'all are finding solutions to your problem, and there's nothing different about it. It's just that Lok Sabha has MLAs and MPs, mostly MPs, and how we have delegates of countries. So don't break your head on all of that.
Okay, so that's something new. Well, this time in SAPMUN, I'm pretty sure that we have introduced a new committee known as the IP. So that is international press. So how does that work about?
Okay, so IP, international press, is nothing but the media in generic terms. It is how we have our news channels, how we have our journalists. It is journalism, and journalism is honestly so vast. Journalism, we have reporting, we have photography and videography. So the same way in a MUN we follow uh, videography, photography, and reporting. So when y'all are in the IP committee, when y'all are in the reporting part of it, y'all are reporting what goes on in a committee session, or what are the debates going on, which countries are present, what conclusion are they leading into, or what. So y'all are basically just journalists, where y'all are reporting about what's going on. Different committees will be assigned to y'all, or they will ask you to write a report on Lok Sabha, or what's going on in Lok Sabha, and all of that. So this is what happens with the reporting part of it. Photography, the best of pictures or the best of captures taken across in whichever committee assigned to you all, or even throughout the whole MUN, is all judged, and then that's how photography goes. And videography is again the best footage of students, or the best footage of the committee sessions, how well you are able to capture the essence of the whole feeling of the whole committee. That's how your videography goes. So you all will have 3 different sectors in IP, and that's the journalism part of it. Like I said, you have reporting, you have videography, you have photography. So whichever suits you best, you all will go ahead.
Okay, that's something interesting this year. So for this committee, do we have to prepare working papers or position papers?
No, you all don't have to. IP doesn't have most of the ROP I've been explaining about. You all don't have to write working papers, but rather you all have to keep submitting reports. You all have reports, and you all have to keep submitting pictures, you all will have to keep submitting videos. It's just how that works.
Okay, so now if we don't have working papers, position papers, how do we report to the IT chairperson? In what way?
I didn't quite catch you. Can you repeat?
do we have to report to the IP chairperson in a particular way if we don't have working papers or position papers of that sort?
No, like I said, y'all are not expected to have a working paper or a position paper when it comes to IP. Y'all don't need to have one. It's just that the IP chair will assign you to a few committees and he will tell you, I want a report based on this. So in an hour, maybe he'll ask you, I want the report. So you submit the report to him and he will judge the report. He won't there's no solutions to journalism. Journalism is basically how it is. It's a one-way street. You see what's going on, you capture it, whether in thought, writing, in photography, in videography, you capture it and then you go ahead and submit it.
Okay, so now here are some general questions. For Marvel committee, that is also something new this year. How does the delegate represent themselves for the Marvel committee?
Okay, so I'm pretty sure you all may have got your portfolios. So you'll represent a character, and when you're representing the character, what happens is you're talking from the character's point of view. So again, I'm telling you all, research well, but don't break your head on the rules, because if you search on Google and you break your head on the rules, oh, what is moderated caucus and all that, you all are going to freak out, and it's really not that necessary. It's just some person has kept very fancy names for all of this, but at a grassroots level, it is all very easy. So you all don't break your head so much on the rules, but rather spend time in researching and reading well, and it will automatically come to you. And there will be a whole ROP session. Every chairperson will be giving you. Your first committee session is normally an ROP session. So again, you all don't have to freak out about it.
Okay, now coming back to preparing for a month, is it a wise idea for me to refer to Wikipedia or such websites? How do I prepare for it better?
Okay, so I'm not sure if everyone knows how Wikipedia works. So Wikipedia, even you and I can change and add information to it. So we don't find it credible enough. So if at all you're saying something and I ask you, from where did you get this information? From what are you quoting? Who are you quoting? And you say Wikipedia, I'll say that's not legit, that's not credible. Wikipedia is the last place y'all should. See, y'all can refer to Wikipedia, it makes life easier, but don't ever keep it as your proof or if I'm asking you for your reference, don't ever do that. But y'all can always read and go through it for better understanding. Wikipedia is not your best way to go. What I'd suggest is go to your easiest things. Go to the UN websites, research from there, and y'all also may not get a lot of information on the UN website. So go to all these legit news channels, these big news channels, like you have Reuters, you have CNN. So a lot of these channels are good and their information is considered to be legit. So you can refer from theirs. And any of these huge websites, just Wikipedia, we don't consider it credible because even you and I can change the history. Maybe even I can edit it at the moment if I want to.
Okay, so now, moving on to the next question. What is the significance of a country's foreign policy?
Okay, so foreign policy, foreign relations and all of that. See, as a country, we have different foreign relations. We are tied up with different countries. So we have certain policies we follow. Now, for example, when we talk about trade, we follow certain things like this much can be done, this is how our import-export works and all of that. So foreign policies and all are basically how your country has certain rules and certain laws they follow in terms of their foreign relations with others. And its significance to an MUN is because sometimes you all will personally be against another country, but you can't but maybe your country has foreign relations with them, so you don't go against them. Now, if at all in easiest terms, it's very likely for India and Pakistan to fight. We all know that. But it is very unlikely for India to be fighting with someone they have foreign relations with. If they are in good terms with the country, they shouldn't be fighting. So if a chairperson is very well aware of the whole status of all the countries, and they know their foreign relations well, what happens is you can't you don't fight with a country you're in good terms with. So that's the importance of knowing which countries are connected and networked with your country well, and that's why you need to know the foreign policies and foreign relations.
Okay. Sorry. So, moving on to the next question we have. For you and G, is it necessary to know about the political relationship and the situation of the country?
Okay, so J is a very one of the most respected and one of the most prominent committees. It's a General Assembly, right? So it is important to know political relationship because, like I said again, you can't go against few things because at the end of the day, two countries are standing up for each other, they're sticking up for each other. But if the delegate is not very well prepared enough and they are fighting in committee, and if the chair is aware that these two countries are not working out well, that's not how it's very important to know political relationship, but we don't pay so much heed into it in the GA because the whole objective of GA is very different. But it is very important to know the situation about what's happening in your country, and since this time we are talking about militarization and increased armament, you need to know what's going on in your own country. And even though we are talking about the Middle East, we all know that sanctions, money and all comes from very different places. So it's very important to know what's going on in your country and what your country thinks about it.
Okay, so next question we have, how many delegates get to be in one team or one country?
So, wait, one team or country?
Or country.
So this is how it goes. Every participant is called a delegate. Every delegate has a country, and every participant is representing a country. I didn't quite catch your question very well, but if at all you're saying in a team of giving these papers to someone, or when you all are forming a team, a block of sorts to have this resolution paper to be done, that time it can be how many ever. It doesn't have a count. A team can have how many ever. Whoever thinks alike, whoever is like-minded at the end of the day can stick together. Even if it's 3 against 9 or 10 against 10, it doesn't really matter. But one delegate, one country. That's how it works. One participant, one delegate, one country.
Okay, so is there a particular format for the resolution paper and working paper and all that?
There is a particular format, and it's a long procedure which will be explained to you by your chair on the committee session day. You all don't prepare your resolution papers and come. It has to be prepared collectively after listening to every discussion about how it is very how you progress through your whole debate and how you progress through your whole session. Then you write a resolution paper. You don't think of solutions beforehand, write it and submit it. How countries think and all that, then you learn through debate, and then you file this resolution paper and submit it. But there is certain language to be followed, protocol to be followed, which will be explained to you by your chair. Again, you all don't have to break your head for it. There's certain language they follow.
Okay, moving on to the next question. How does the Marvel committee work? Because we don't represent ourselves as countries or ministers here. Instead, it's characters. So, how would you properly explain how the Marvel committee works?
Okay, so we have, for like I said, for the UN committees we have countries, for the Lok Sabha we have the MPs, and then for the Marvel we have characters. So you are representing your character. You are thinking like your character. So like I said, get into the character, you learn, you think like them, you're representing your characters. All I have to say, you again don't have to break your head on it. Now, if, for example, I'm a character and I'm talking about the agenda, I'm just talking about the agenda from that character's point of view, nothing else.
Okay, so for UNGA, is it necessary to express the relationship between the countries?
Y'all don't have to express it, but y'all have to be aware of it.
Okay, now this is a very common question among the delegates we have here. Is it going to be difficult for first timers who are attending a month?
I was also always a first timer. Everyone has a first time, right? Everyone is a first timer at some point in life. But when you think about it, SAPMUN's very welcoming and our chairs are really good this time. So you don't have to worry about it. If you all are nervous, I understand. But the whole point of a MUN is it's a safe space, right? We don't judge y'all. Rather, we will help you become better. Y'all will get confidence, and that's how it works. So y'all don't have to be worried about anything of that sort. We are very welcoming, and for first timers, even so I'll tell you about my first time. So I was all nervous. I researched so much, but at the end of the day, it was so easy. It was not that hard. But once I started talking, I needed that push. And that push every chairperson will give y'all. So y'all honestly don't have to worry about it. It's all good. It's all easy. Just research, read, and prepare well.
Okay, now that we have spoken about UNGA and Marvel and also IP, can you please brief us a little about the UNSC committee?
Okay, so the UNSC committee is the Security Council. See, I'm not allowed to talk about the agendas because it's not right to do so. But if at all you're asking about how it works, so no, it's not that hard. I cannot sit and explain to you all each agenda because even I'm a chairperson, I'm chairing UNGA. But so you all honestly don't have to worry about it so much. Security Council is again one of the most prominent councils, and like the name suggests, it is for maintaining international peace and security, right? So it is very important to know your foreign relations. It is very important to understand the depth of your agenda. It is very important to see your country's stance. You really need to know where your country stands in all of this and what they think of it.
Okay, so I know you're not supposed to talk much about the agenda. So can you please give us a small idea or a brief idea about the UNW? What we talk about in the UNW?
Okay, in UNW, so if I'm not wrong, it's about disparity of work. Am I right? The agenda, yeah. So UNW, like y'all are representing the women section, right? So y'all are talking about problems women face. So y'all have to know about your country, how your country treats women with the agenda given to y'all, right? So you all need to know how your country treats their women, what are the laws there for women based on the agenda, how your country is helping these women, or how your country believes in whatever they believe is the ultimate truth. So UNW, again, you all don't have to be very worried about it, but just what I'd suggest is learn what are the laws kept for the women in your country. Not all laws, but the laws linked to your agenda. Know that all the laws linked to your agenda, like I said, how they stand up for the women in your country. That's all you really need to know.
Okay, so that's that. Are there any demerits of providing false statements if we do it?
Okay, so again, that all depends on your chair. If the chair notices it quick and is very well aware of a false statement, he can just say, this is false, right? I will ask you what is the credibility of the statement you have made. But for some may just ignore it. So it all depends. So we'd suggest don't have false statements, but at the end of the day, it all depends on the chairperson.
Right. So are we representing a delegate of the country's international press committee?
No, y'all won't be representing a delegate or y'all won't be countries, y'all will be delegates, but of the international press, where y'all will be assigned different committees to report about at different points in time. That's all that is. But y'all are not representing a certain country. Y'all are not the media of India or anything of that sort. Y'all are just the international press.
Right. Okay. So, can we write down points for the speaker's list speech, or should we write something on the spot?
No, y'all can prepare and come and see. Reading and talking or talking without reading, it's all okay. Whatever y'all are comfortable with, however easy it is for y'all, because y'all need to learn. Y'all are growing. At the end of the day, we want growth for you, right? It's not about the winning or losing. It's about getting solutions to real world problems and also to helping you learn how to speak and gain that confidence. So y'all, for a general speakers list, y'all can prepare and come, but if y'all want to read it or not, that's up to y'all.
Okay. So, what are the points that can be included for this 90-second speech that would be a plus point when we are talking?
Okay, so normally what happens in a speakers list is the delegate talks about their stance on the agenda. That stance is their view on the agenda, whether they are for it, whether they are against it, and what they think of it. What y'all could also talk about is, if y'all don't have much to keep talking, answer why y'all think it's right. Now, if at all y'all agree with the agenda, y'all will have to tell us why you agree with the agenda. So that's a great way to start. Why y'all think it is right or why y'all think it is wrong. That's a good way to go.
Okay. So, will a chairperson be assigned to each committee?
Yes, there is already a chairperson assigned to each committee.
So we have a question here saying, could you please tell us what a motion is? Or, give us a scenario to make it easier to understand.
Okay, in very simple terms, I'm so sorry, I have a bad cold. So just think about it. 10 people are in a room and we are all silent. And there's a teacher. So we raise our hand, right, to talk. The same way, in committee, we raise a placard and we ask permission, or we are telling the chairperson, can we do this? So then we take a vote. So if majority agrees that we can do this, we will go ahead with that motion. So what a motion is, you have different things. You have a moderated caucus, that is if you want to speak about a certain topic. You'll have your speakers list. You'll have motion for an unmoderated caucus, that is your recess break, to network, to learn more. So that's how it works. Again, these are in a MUN, it's all just fancy words, but it's very easy. Y'all don't have to be scared about it.
Okay, so since you mentioned that we have to write down our working papers, we have questions that we can type it out, such as are gadgets allowed for typing down the resolution on our working papers?
Okay, that's another thing which depends on every chair. But I personally don't like working papers coming to my phone because it's very hard to monitor. But also, we don't prefer y'all using phones in committee sessions because y'all can be using the internet and y'all can suddenly. So, we don't allow delegates to use the internet when sessions are going on. But if at all at during the unmoderated caucus or at their lunch break or any break, they can learn, they can always use the internet. But we don't, at least I don't prefer it. But some chairs are okay with giving working papers to the phone. So it all depends on the chair.
Okay, so we have spoken about most all of the committees except for one, that's the UNHRC. Do you mind just briefing us a little about the UNHRC?
Okay, the HRC is Human Rights Commissioner, right? So again, you are sticking up from your country, right? What your country thinks about the agenda. That's all I have to say. Whatever committee it is, it doesn't really matter. You all have to see what your agenda is, how it works, and what are your laws for the agenda. Now, HRC and all of that are all based on your laws. So how your country is fighting this situation, how your country, what your country is doing to avoid this kind of conflict, or what your country is doing to help their citizens out. That's all that it is, and y'all don't have to be so worried about it. And don't focus so much on knowing everything about the committee. Y'all really don't have to.
Okay, so during roll call, what is the difference between present and voting?
Um, okay, so present is your, there's a difference between must and can, right? So what happens is in present is y'all are there and y'all can vote. So voting happens with yes, no, and abstain, right? So if at all it is y'all say y'all are present, y'all can vote as yes, y'all can vote as no, and y'all can abstain from the vote. Abstaining is y'all have no, y'all just don't want to vote. Y'all don't want to vote, y'all don't have a yes, y'all don't have a no. When you say when the other kind of voting happens is yes and no. So if you're voting with rights and all of that, it becomes yes and no. Your votes are taken into consideration. It is yes and no. That's all that it is.
Okay, so the next one we have. In a committee session, is there a limited number of moderated and unmoderated caucuses?
No, there's no count y'all have to have. Y'all can, however, again, like I said, it all depends on the chair. But the chair will always try to finish the speakers list throughout, and they will try to prioritize and see how fast or how well the debate is going. So we have to lead to a conclusion at the end of the day. So that's all we focus on, but there's no certain limit we follow.
Okay, so there are three sessions, and how is it divided according to our topic?
It is not divided according to topics. So your committee sessions start, there are three different sessions, but normally in every session y'all are just discussing about the topic, y'all are debating, y'all are talking. There is nothing, we don't dedicate a session to each thing. But normally on the first session, we explain to y'all, we take up a basic ROP, and that is rules of procedure. We explain to you all how things work, and then what we do is we start with the general speakers list, normally in the first session. But in your last session, normally it is always dedicated to the resolution papers, where we'll explain to you all how to write a resolution paper. You all start writing a resolution paper, you all submit the resolution paper, and you all present the resolution paper. And the last session is always about voting of the resolution paper.
Okay, so our next question is, will our agenda or the topic be given on the spot or a few days back?
The agenda is already given to you all, if I'm not, it is given to you all.
Study guide.
Yeah, it's not only in the study guides. When you all choose your committees, you all can check up on, so if you all are in UNGA, there's only one agenda to it. If you all are in any committee, there's only one agenda, and the background guides are already out, so just check it out. It'll be easier for you.
Okay, so coming back to IP, we have under the photography section we have, is a DSLR camera necessary to choose photography, or can you use a regular phone camera?
Again, that depends on your chair. The chair will let you know. Y'all are all put in a WhatsApp group, right? The chair will let you all know, but I don't think it is necessary to have a DSLR of sorts. But y'all can do it on your phone if I'm not wrong. But we'd prefer DSLRs for all, I'd say.
Okay, so we come to, for SAPMUN we have a very good exciting cash prizes and other awards. So for this, how are delegates evaluated, or what criteria are the delegates evaluated?
Okay, so every chairperson is scoring. So I'm a chairperson myself, and it all depends on the chair again. But normally we see how, one thing is we focus on the content. Not everyone's a confident speaker, but everyone, but some of them can provide really good content. So we will focus on the content you're talking about. If you know your country well, and if you're not talking absolute crap, if you're honestly talking sense, if you're talking sensible things, it is a plus point, right? So we judge you based on the content, based on how good you're with networking and persuading others, and your sense of uh, diplomacy. So that there might be, you have to follow this way of talking. You can't talk however you want to, because you're representing your country. You are your country at the end of the day in any session. So that's how it goes. And it always depends, but mainly we judge you based on content. And how do we win, someone had asked, right? So I can't tell you all how to win, but what I can say is be confident, learn well, prepare well, and one brownie point which could be good for all of y'all is, whenever a question is asked to you, answer it. And if at all you can't answer it, say you will answer it in a while. Research about it, write about it, and submit it to the chair. But don't ever avoid questions. If at all a chair asks you one question, if at all another country is asking you another question, don't avoid these questions.
Okay, so coming back to UNW, do we speak about the current affairs that is going on?
When you see anything linked to the agenda, but it should be, if you're talking about current affairs going on, yes, you all can talk about, but when you're talking from your country, one thing is talk about your country. Don't suddenly talk about a very generic thing. Don't start a whole thing on feminism and all of that, but what your country thinks, stick about it, stick it to the agenda. As long as anything you'll talk about is related to the agenda, it is completely fine.
Okay, so what is the dress code for November 5th and 6th?
The dress code. So 4th, 5th, 6th. Friday is formals, your Western formals, and Saturday is your Indian traditionals, and Sunday is your Western formals again.
Okay, thank you about that. And do we need information about our previous or any other solved issues about our agenda in the country?
It's not a necessity, but it's good to know that there is something being done or there was something done. But why are we still facing the problem, even though we have even though something has been done to solve the problem? So y'all can research about it. It's not a necessity, but it's good to know.
Okay, can we group with other delegates during motions or passing a resolution?
Yes, it is very important to network. So if at all you want your motion to pass, if at all you want to talk about something, maybe 10 other people will want to talk about the same thing. So it's very good to network, it's very good to connect. It is very good to have a group of like-minded people. And passing resolution has to be done in groups normally. So you all will have 2-3 blocks, that is 2-3 mindsets. So it could be India, US, China. That's a very unlikely thing to happen, but India, US, China, Pakistan for all of them are in one block, and then we have Africa and all of that in another block. So it's all works in groups. It's very good to network.
Okay, so can we have only one resolution paper or two resolution papers or maybe even more than that?
You can submit how many ever resolution papers you all want, but at the end of the day, only one gets passed according to votes. So if at all there are 3 resolution papers submitted to me, three of the resolution papers can be uh, uh, 3 of the resolution papers can be presented, and all of them will be put for voting, but whoever gets a majority vote at the end of the day, that resolution paper is passed. And for now we'll take a 15-minute break, alright? We'll join back shortly.
Thank you, delegates. Okay, so the next question is, while writing the resolution, can we take the help of internet?
Y'all can't, y'all don't copy resolution papers, that is not allowed, but y'all can refer and learn and be more aware. But during committee sessions, we don't let y'all use the internet, but whenever during your recess breaks and all, y'all can use the internet.
Okay. Next question, if a country's government has views which differs from the views of citizens, which view should the delegate represent?
The delegate represents the country. At the end of the day, even your personal opinions can't be put forward. What your country is, for what it is, what laws y'all follow, why y'all follow those certain laws. Y'all can't ever talk from the citizen's point of view because then it becomes your personal point of view. But y'all talk for the country.
Okay. The next question, how many votes are required to begin a motion?
There are no certain amount of votes required to begin a motion, rather the majority of votes. Whichever vote gets the majority, that motion gets passed.
Okay. How will the debate work out actually? Could you elaborate some points to remember while we debate?
Okay, when we talk about debate here, so this is a very formal sort of debate where one person gets up, one person's talking, then the other person's talking. So it's also a kind of discussion of sorts wherein we are listening to the stance of other countries, we are trying to understand, but the whole point of this formal and informal debate is to reach the conclusion, and the conclusion is nothing but your solutions you're finding for your real world problem given to you all. So some points to remember while you debate: be confident, that is one, but also don't ever uh, like you're talking from your country. Like I said, don't say I think like this. You say the delegate of India thinks like this. You don't ever bring your personal pronouns in the picture. That's, you all don't have to worry so much about some points to remember while your debate is, all I'd say is research well, know what you all are talking, whether you all read, whether you all are talking confidently. It's more about the content, and I'll be stressing out on the content. So research, read and prepare well.
Okay, thank you. Does everyone have to speak on their country's opinion?
So a general speakers list is for every country. Every country has to talk about the stance of their country, and it is general to everyone. Every country is given a chance. Unlike your moderated caucus and all, where selected people can be used, it is not of anything of that sort. General speakers list is for everyone. Every country has to speak for 90 seconds, and they do talk about their opinion on the agenda, their stance.
Okay. So the next question is it important to know political relationships of the respective countries?
Like I said, it depends on where your discussion is headed. If at all at some point in time your foreign relations or your foreign policies come into place, it is very important to know which countries your country has a good relationship with and which countries do not. So it is good to know always.
The next question, in case if a country we connect that is a rival in real life, can we be under the same law?
Like I said, it'd be funny if India and Pakistan were agreeing on something, because that quite doesn't happen. But so that's where the foreign relations again comes into place. So we don't encourage this, but sometimes it does happen, and it's okay. But we don't encourage it of sorts because it'd be kind of senseless, and it'd be very hard to understand why India and Pakistan are together. Like I said.
What will you do if there is a tie?
If someone could type out, like, tie in what way? I didn't quite get it. uh, if there is a tie in, could whoever asked the question elaborate on that question, please? I'll answer the next one.
Okay. Do we need to know information about all the characters in the Marvel community?
No, like I said, in countries or your characters or anything of that sort, y'all need to know yourself well, your country well, whatever's given to y'all. Y'all are representing one person, but y'all can read a little about the other people you're competing against. I mean, the other countries they are representing, because it's nice to know dirt on some other countries sometimes. You can always talk about it and all of that, and you don't need to know everything, but it would help you out as well. It all depends on how your discussion is headed and where it's going through. I think we are done. Okay, thank you so much everyone for joining in, and we hope to see you at SAPMUN 2022. We'll see you this Friday. Thank you.